Hello, friends. Welcome back. Today we're going to look at how we can actually debug the bot. So I had a little bit of trouble getting it to work end to end. So this video will try to get into the details of how to set up things, both on the client side and on the bot side, to make sure that there is good communication between both the ends and then the bot works. So before we get there, we also will cover different aspects of how we can test the bot locally without even having it to log into Azure. Um, of course, in this case, we are having a search index behind the scenes, so you have to have a little bit of footprint on Azure no matter what. But with the search index already being there, we can actually do the development locally and then also test the bot locally without having to physically deploy the application on Azure and having to set up a bot, etc. Right? We'll do step by step to see what we can do. So I have this project open, the same project we covered multiple times. So what we can do is we'll start off with a clean slate. So we'll do a Maven clean package, and then that will actually build the entire Spring Boot application with the bot backend and the code to talk to the to the search service, right? So once we do this, we can actually start the Spring Boot run command, and it'll actually start the backend to start off the Spring Boot application. So once we do this, we can actually launch a local install, which is called a bot emulator. This is available on the website to actually download, and then we can actually download and install that as a package depending on your OS. So once you do that, you will get like this welcome page. So you click open bot here, and then you can pick the URL. So in our case, the if you notice, the Spring Boot application starts on 3978, and that's why we picked localhost 3978, and then we put /API/messages. That's where the bot injection endpoint asks for the messages to come through, right? So one of the first things to notice is there's an app ID and password. If you do try to connect to this one, now you'll see that you'll get an error. It's unauthorized, right? So that's the first usual problem. So when we start developing, we have two options. There's an application properties file sitting inside the Spring Boot application. You can actually set those application ID and password to be blank. That will make it work in a very easy way. But this is how we can't deploy into Azure. So it's better to start off with an application ID and password. Like you do the AZ app create. So it actually registers an application in the Azure Active Directory, and then once you register that, you will actually reset the credentials and get the password. Or if you do it online, you can do all of that manually through the UI, and then you can actually get the password. So password is available only the first time you create it, and it will just not be available, and you have to delete and recreate the credential if you were to lose the password. So with the password created, so you can copy these two aspects, and then you have to pass them in the bot. So I'll close this one, and then I'll say open bot again and pick the localhost URL, and then I'll put the application ID, which is the GUID, and the password, which is this password. So we copy that piece and then we put it in the password column, and then we say connect. So now what it does is it actually is able to authenticate, and it shows the initial prompt. How do you want to search for movies, right? So we can actually search for different things like a genre, and that's, I think we went through this multiple times. So if you were to click on that, you will basically see the chatbot working end to end. And any place you want to see the actual messages, you can actually click on the message, and then it will tell you the actual it'll tell you the actual response that came back. So if you click on this, you actually can see the JSON up here, right? It's an attachment, it's a carousel type, and then it will tell you these are the attachments, and you can open them up, and then you can kind of debug 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, because we are saying 5 attachments. So it's an adaptive card. I think that's what we covered, and then the content will be the actual JSON, and then you can open this. So this is exactly the same JSON we looked at. It has column set, and then you have two columns in it, and then in the columns we are going to have the items, which is like nothing but the the text block, storm. You see this one, and the next one will be the image piece. The text block when you say you will get wet. So that's kind of how it understands. And there are different actions. You can take a look at actions too, and then you can see that the first action will be they open the URL. So this one, and so on and so forth. So that's a very nice tool to debug, and it will tell you exactly how our card is looking. And if you see some mess up here, you can actually debug using the actual structure, or we can actually go to that adaptive card debugging tool that they have online, and then actually post that data there. So that is the first way to debug, all local. So let's say you are all good to go here, and then you want to connect the actual bot that is running um, on the Azure platform to the bot that is running on locally here. So for doing that, what you need is another piece of software called ngrok. So there are instructions how to set up ngrok inside the documentation that Microsoft provides. But it's a very simple install. You look at it, you install it, and then you have to register it. Unfortunately, you have to register because it doesn't allow you to expose an external port till you register, right? So that's the only limitation. You just have to create a simple dummy username and password and then log in, and it will actually start allowing you to do that. So what we are here doing here is this is the command we'll execute ngrok. So that is actually going to expose. So let's see here. This is where I think ngrok is. So I'm not able to find ngrok. That's where it is. That's not it. Hold on. Yeah, I'm not able to find the path, but let's see here. Where did I put the ngrok? Let's do a quick search. Forgot where I put it. Yeah, that's right. DP203. That's where it is. Sorry. So if you go back, go back to the DP203. Oops. And then you can TIR here, and you can see the ngrok exe. So all you need to do is run this command. So what happens is it actually takes your local port 3978 and then exposes it to the internet, and then does the header rewrites that are required. So if you run that, it will start off and then it says, I'm exposing this URL. So this is the URL that is exposed from the internet, and then it is actually connecting to this our local host, right? So to test out how it works from the Azure platform without having to actually deploy the backend, this is like the next level of debugging, right? So the first level is obviously simple test where it works locally through the bot emulator. But if you want to test something a little bit more exhaustive and you want to go to the bot, so you actually create a new bot, and then when you create a new bot, you have to this configuration tab. So this is the bot that we created. This is pretty much standard front end piece of the bot framework. This almost will be exactly the same for every prod project that we do. So then we click on the configuration, and so this is the part where it's messaging endpoint. Yeah, I can just for fun change this to point to my local URL. So if I paste that and make sure there are no spaces or anything, and then if you apply,